Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Nope Coach podcast. I'm your host, Suzanne Kohlberg. It feels like a long time since I've said those words because for me, it has been. I just got back last week from 2 weeks trip to the United States of America. That is a long journey from Australia. I know some of you listening to this nodding along, going, yes, of course. Or didn't you Google it before you went, Suzanne? And there is knowing something is going to be a long journey, and there's experiencing the long journey. And those aren't necessarily the same things. And for today's show, what I wanted to talk about is when to change things up. Because I got back last Wednesday. I'm recording this on a Monday. No, it's a Tuesday. So nearly a week. I've been back for nearly a week. And today is the first day I'm literally feeling human again. I wanted to do more than just sleep and sog and lay around. And it's been interesting because I was like, oh, maybe I'll put the podcast on hiatus. Maybe I'll just pause it for a while. And I was chatting to someone this morning and she was like, did you have these thoughts ahead of leaving? Or have you just not sat down and hit record for over 3 weeks and now you're out of the rhythm and routine? And that was such a valuable question. Thank you so much. Shout out to Melissa Snow. Don't know if you listened to the show, but thank you, because that really had my wheels turning. How often do we like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore? It's like a split second decision when it's something that we've just fallen out of the rhythm or the routine. Like there are some things that no matter what, I will never fall out of the rhythm and routine. One of them being cleaning my teeth. Like flying long haul, they give you a toothbrush. I didn't know that at first, but anyway, that's a story for another day. But it was like the rhythm and routine of not brushing my teeth how I normally do. My body was like in revolt because it's kind of revolting. But there are other things, for me that just fall by the wayside, exercise being one of them. I can just kind of, easily revert to my couch potato ways. Things for my mental health, which includes exercise, but also, journaling, meditating, things like that. So, I get to it later. And then when you don't do them, sometimes it can be time before it catches up. And then you realize the benefit you were getting from doing them regularly. So, what I want you to consider today, or my invitation for you, is how do you know when it's time to change things up? And how do you know when it's just you're being inconsistent and you've fallen out of your rhythm and routine? So now that I'm recording this podcast and we're only a few minutes in, I was like, I love this show. I love, it's so funny. I love chatting to myself, but then putting it on YouTube and sending it out to my newsletter and putting it on the podcast apps while I was away. Listen Notes, which updates like global podcast rankings. This show is now in the top 2% of podcasts. That totally made my day, week, month. I was so excited. Thank you to each and every one of you who listen to this, who send me emails, who respond. I appreciate it so much. Thank you to everyone who's left a review. If you haven't left a review for the show yet, I really encourage you to. And thank you everyone who's made a donation. A podcast is a labor of love. Like so many people ask, how much money do you make for your podcast? I was like, actually, my podcast is a loss leader. I do, and I've spoken about this on previous episodes, I do very minimal in terms of like, I don't edit and I have, low on the side of show notes. But even still, to have a podcast platform, there is a cost associated with it. To upload, you have to pay for however much bandwidth you use. The time to record and do the minimal uploading, like it still takes time. So it is mostly a labor of love. So if you're looking to do podcasting, as a income producer, I'm not the person to ask about that because, it's not a income generating machine for me. Some people do put ads in their show, and I have been approached and asked, would I take on sponsors before? But personally, I get bored listening to ads. I'm always hitting the plus 15 or plus 30 seconds to get right past them. So anyway, back to the point of today's show. What are some things that you tend to fall out of the rhythm and routine of doing? As I said, for me, it's, the self-care things, exercise, journaling, meditating, like stuff for my mindset. It's so easy to put all that on the back burner and do everything for everyone else. Like I just traveled, as I said, for 2 weeks overseas. There was the time difference, and then there was the things that I was doing, and then getting back to the hotel in the evening, and then ringing my kids because I'm away from them. That was the longest time to date that I have been away from my children, and it was really, really challenging on both ends for them and for me. And then coming home, um, the reunion, it was glorious, but it was tough. It was challenging, and there's things that you don't factor in. So obviously, getting over the jet lag, re-establishing, relationships with partner and kids, catching up on all the stuff for your business. Like I took a clean break. I didn't turn a computer on for over 2 weeks and I feel restored, but then coming back to many email and admin things that required. Also, just before I went, my credit card got, um, what's the word? Here I am saying I'm over the jet lag, but it's still there. But scammed. So then not having a card and then having to reestablish all my cards, payments for things that with no card and everything. It's been a hot minute. I think sometimes we don't give ourselves the credit for all the little things that add up and become the big things when we are out of our normal rhythm routine, when things are put on pause, but they're not taken care of. So when you come back, all those emails you've got to answer, all those things that you've got to respond to, they add up. So I'm going to keep this one short today because, as I said, I'm feeling great and human again, but I can feel that jet lag starting to creep up. But if you're like me and you have moments of you're like, oh, I should just quit, because it's normal. I think we should really normalize when we're doing things, it could be for our business, like a podcast or a blog or a newsletter. It could be something you're doing for, yourself, like, getting fitter or eating healthier, and you aren't seeing the results fast enough, or you don't think you're seeing big enough results for the effort that you're putting in, because all of these things, they are effort. When you feel that call to, oh, what's the point? I'm just going to quit. To pause in that moment and ask yourself, like, have I been feeling this for a while? Is this an inkling? Is this a sign? Or am I just falling out of my rhythm and routine? And this is a sign that I need to pick that back up again and to recommit rather than to, throw everything out and quit. Hope this has been helpful. Love to hear what you think. Please comment if you're watching this on YouTube, or send me an email, info@suzannekolberg.com, if you are tuning in on the podcast apps. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye for now.